Shalom, this is the 11th in a series of defining terms for our Introduction to Judaism class. The topic is Kashrut, the Jewish dietary laws. First of all, kosher means fit for eating. Kosher. Of course, it's helpful if you have the terms in front of you, which we can send you if you're part of our program. Kosher is to make something kosher, and you kosher your dishes, you kosher meat, to make something kosher. Hechsher, that is determining that something is kosher. It's usually a sign on a package, like in Chicago there'd be a CRC in a triangle, or an OU, a very symbol on a package that's the hechsher saying something is kosher. Hashgacha, that is the process of certifying something as kosher. A mashgiach is the person who does the hashgacha by giving a hechsher. So the mashgiach gives a hashgacha, does the hashgacha gives something a hechsher to make sure it's kosher. Shomer is the guard, or mashgiach. Shomer or mashgiach is the person who actually certifies something as kosher, make sure it is. Mekadesh is to make something holy. Now, fleshik is something that's meat. Now, that's chicken or beef or poultry. It's not fish or an egg. That's something else. That's called parve, P-A-R-V-E. But fleshik is something that's meat. Milchik is something that's milk, has dairy, whey, milk products, yogurt, ice cream, milk, butter. Parve is something that has no meat or milk in it, like fish or eggs or vegetables or fruit or grains. Shchita is the process of slaughtering an animal properly to make sure that it's kosher. And there's a lot of rules about how to do shchita properly, and it's based on a verse in Deuteronomy that says you shall slaughter the animal in the way I've told you. I have a video on Kosher 101 which can help with a lot of this. The shochet is the guy who does the shchita to make sure that it's slaughtered properly, the shochet. Glad kosher is a series of extra rules basically established by the Hungarians in the 19th century, requiring extra. First of all, it started with certain lesions on the lungs that normal kashrut supervision permitted, that they didn't, and now it's a term used for extra kosher. A lot of people think you can only eat glad kosher. I don't believe that's true, but more and more the food industry is dominated, kosher food industry, by people who want glad kosher. Chalav Yisrael is basically the same thing, Chalav Yisrael, for milk products. Extra strenuous supervision to make sure certain things happen. Some people will only eat Chalav Yisrael dairy products. Treif or treifa. Treif originally meant that something was cut, and therefore if an animal was cut, before it was slaughtered properly, could not be killed. Today it basically means anything that's not kosher, treif. Marit ayin, it looks bad. Even if it's proper, it may look bad, and therefore probably you should stay away from it. Suda mitzvah, we've had that before. That is a meal in celebration of a mitzvah. Fins and scales, that is the Torah requirement in Leviticus 11 and in Deuteronomy for things that swim in the water that can be eaten. Something with fins and scales can be. Anything that swims in the water that doesn't have fins and scales can't be eaten, like shrimp, lobster, mussels, sharks, dolphins, porpoises, whales. Chew, cut, and have split hooves. That is the Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy requirement for mammals. An animal that has split hooves and chews its cud theoretically could be kosher if the shochet does shchita properly and the blood is drained. And there's a check to make sure it's not diseased. And you can't eat the hindquarter because of a verse in Genesis. But the basic rule is chewing the cud and split hooves like cows. Pigs are not okay. Milk and meat. The series of prohibitions from the verse, don't cook a kid in the mother's milk, which tells us that we can't cook meat and milk together, we can't eat it together, you have to wait a certain amount of time between the consumption of one to have the other. And blood, the reason blood is here is because we're prohibited from eating blood. All the blood has to be drained, and in the case of liver, broiled out. before it can be consumed. So those are the terms for the session on Kashrut.